We'll start here.
Okay, go for it. We're on.
Okay. Um, and this, I feel like I should say it's the first thing in the morning. I went to a concert and I was up late last night. Apologies for everything I say. With that out of the way, um, we're going to start with a basic page here. And normally, when you're building a brand new page, you're probably thinking, I got to go, if you want to have a big splashy image at the top, you got to get a cover block. You got to put a headline tag in it. You got to make sure to style the headline tag. You got to make sure the headline tag has your post title in it. So there's a lot of like building you could be doing and that you think about having to do when you first start a page, but we're just going to skip some of that. And patterns, that's what patterns are for. Basically, you can think of them as like collections of blocks that are 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 like content that you might end up having to create from scratch, but we've pre-created them for you. And by the way, just want to say too that if you find yourself repeating something like creating a group of blocks or something across multiple pages of your site and you don't find it in here as a pattern, it's always cool to come here and let us know because we're really interested in knowing what kinds of things, what patterns of content people are building so that we can think about whether or not they should be in here as pre-built patterns for people. Um, before we started recording, I was mentioning having a banner image at the top of this page. So I'm gonna just go over here to the banner pattern category. And there's a couple of them here. There's one you can see, I don't know how well you can see my screen, but there's one that's got just an image with some text over the top. And then there's an image with text over the top and then a little bit more text underneath it. I'm going to think about this page as maybe my home page. So I'm going to drop this pattern on here. And you notice it says sample pattern page. That's funny because that's what my post title is too. If I change my post title, that changes. And that's because this pattern is actually using if I dig down, the post title block, which is a block that shows whatever you put up here in the page title. And that can be that's really handy. You don't have to change this as long as you keep the post title, whatever you want it to be. This will just mimic it. So we'll keep it there. This pattern also has this bit of text down here. I'm going to replace that with some lorem. Oh, that's a lot of sentences. We'll just go down to one sentence. If you think about this page, so because this is going to be my page title. This is going to be like some kind of establishing text, right? If this was a home page, this would be like, what is my website doing? Why does it exist? What does my group do that should be shown to the visitor on a first visit? So clicking one button and making a couple of changes, now we have the top of a page. Of course, I can change this image by grabbing something out of my media library. My media library does not have anything nearly this good, so I'm just going to leave this as is. And I'm going to go over here to my page. And I'm going to change this template to page no title. Page no title is basically exactly what it says. Just don't show the title as it would normally appear because I've put the title in this cover block. And that's the only reason I'm changing that because I don't want the title to show twice on the page. So if I click publish right now and I click view page and just open in another tab, we'll see that I've got this nice page with a full bleed image. Page title is in the cover block, so I don't have to put it anywhere else, and we're good to go. So now we're down here below the header or below the big image, and I'm just gonna do this again. If you click the block plus button and then you click browse all, you open up the chooser and we'll go back to patterns. And I'm thinking, typically on a home page or a front page, you like underneath the header here, you get like 3 columns of something. Could be news stories, or maybe it's just a grid of something. So that's another pattern category that we have. And there's even more choices here. There's all kinds of different things. Again, if you explore the patterns library, There's a lot of different things you can do. I'm going to go for something simple, just 3 columns, header and a link. And again, all I had to do is just click on the patterns thing, and now we've got even more content here. I'm not going to replace this content, but typically what what you would do is put your 3 important things in here. They could be a news story, they could be something, some upcoming event, a deadline, something like that. Once a person scrolls down and sees, who you are and what you're about, then three important things that are going on for you right now is a good thing to have on the homepage. I'm going to click down here again, and we'll go into the plus button under patterns, and maybe, I don't know, what's in media. Might be a good time for a video. Or what else do we have here? Maybe I'll just go into all patterns and we'll take a look there. And then you get this nice big display with preview of what patterns look like. I think I'm going to go with a big story. Click that in there. All right. So normally I would put something from the media library in here. I'll just put big image. And I would change this content out. And so as we get down here, I mean, other than replacing content, in 10 minutes or so, we've got, kind of a full, or at least most of a homepage going on here. And again, you have to replace the content, but got a really good start. And one thing I notice about this is everything's kind of tight together. Things are a little bit compact. So I would prefer my page has a little bit of breathing room so that it's easier to transition cognitively between the different sections of the site. So I'll go back in here, and this is where I'm going to use my first block. So I've been using patterns up until now. Patterns works great. I'm actually going to go in here and put a block in here. So when I get between patterns or between blocks, I get the nice plus button. Where did it go? There it is. Oop, almost. Come on, plus button. There. Click the plus button. I'm going to put space, and I get the spacer block. It's going to drop it right in there. It's pre-configured. We've set the spacer block by default to just drop in at 4 rems, which I believe is going to be about 48 pixels. So it's exactly where I want it. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Again, just type space, get the spacer block. And now if I update my page, got just a little bit more breathing room between these items. Maybe I need a little bit more between these lower ones. So I'm just going to drag this down to 100 pixels. So that's the other thing I wanted to mention too, is with the new editor and the way WordPress works, you're kind of doing design and building at the same time. And you can do it in any order you want. I kind of do them interchangeably, just by look and by feel, using some basic principles of like keep it simple, don't overwhelm people, try to keep it as straightforward and clear as possible. Don't try to do everything on one page. Do what you need to do on a particular page and then move on to the next page. Link out to other pages so that you're not doing too much on one page. Got this updated. So this is all done just with patterns. Now let's say that I did something custom on this particular pattern here. I've got this. Maybe I'm gonna decide that these are, like I said earlier, the 3 most important things that are going on in my unit right now. So I want them on the homepage. They're gonna convey like, this is what we're doing and this is what's important for us. So I'll customize these somehow. We'll say important event. Big deadline, not deal line, that would be bad. And important news. And I'll just change the button here. Learn about the event. Read the deadline. And see more news. Probably not right. Read the story. One thing to notice about what I'm doing here with these buttons is I'm not saying click here. I'm not saying click here because I want the button text to tie in to the story that it's connected to. So I'm never going to type click here, just that little thing. I know we talk about this a lot, but I just want to reiterate, we never use click here in a button because click here is too vague. You always want your link text to be clearly describing where it's going and what it's related to. So I've got these three columns here. And these are like the big deal items, the big marquee items. Now, I may want to use this on another page. Maybe I want to use this on the about page too. This may not be the ideal example of content you'd reuse, but let's just say for the sake of this discussion that it is. So we've got this, this was the pattern I dropped in. It's the row. It's got a stack, paragraph buttons, and then two other stacks. And these are, it's not using the columns block in this case, it's just using the row block with stacks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the outermost item, the parent item that's containing everything. And I'm going to go down here and say create pattern. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a pattern out of the pattern that I dropped, but separate, that lives on my site and my site only. So I'm going to say, let's give this a good name, give it a good descriptive name so that it's clear what it is. We'll say the big three. Maybe not the best name, but we'll just call it that. One, because it could change. These are the big three items right now, but they could change. There could be another deadline. Maybe there's a different news story. Maybe we want to not highlight an event, but instead there's a couple of stories going on. So we'll just put it as the big three. And I'm going to leave category. Maybe we'll put it in the columns category and the featured category. And then I'm gonna leave synced checked. What synced does is it says, do you want this pattern to be the same wherever you use it from here on out? And I'll explain synced a little bit more, but I'm going to leave it because I want it to remain. I want to be able to edit it in one place and have it stay the same across my entire site. This is different from the way a normal pattern works. But again, I'll describe it more in depth here in a second. I'm going to click create. And it changed the name over here, makes it purple. It's indicating that this is synced. So this pattern is now in my pattern library like this, and I can use it elsewhere. So I'm going to update this page. And I'm going to, first of all, we'll go over here and we'll take a look at the site. So you can see I made all the changes here. And the page we're on here is called sample page 2. I'm just going to go ahead and create another page. Oops, that's a post. Create another page. We'll call this sample page 3. And I'll work a little bit more quickly here. We'll do a page layout and we'll just give this kind of a 3-column style. 2-column, sorry, 2-column style page. Make it real simple. Maybe I'll just go ahead and add I won't add a header to the top of this. But what I will do beneath this, actually, I'll just put some content in here first. Put a paragraph. I'll add some lorem to it. 1 paragraph. Okay. So I got kind of a basic left column, right content page here. And we'll say this is, this is also another page where I want to show the big three. So I'm going to go into plus, go into patterns. I put it in a couple of different categories. So if I click columns, my big three pattern is going to show up there. If I go to featured, it's going to show up there too. So I'm just going to click on that and I'm going to drop it on the page. So at the bottom of this page, you get the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and just publish this page and we'll take a look at it in a new tab, starting with the, oh, I added it over there. Sorry, real quick. I'm going to go like this. All right. So here's sample page 2, like we talked about before. Here's sample page 3. They both have the big three pattern on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and, your homepage is probably the page you give the most attention to. So you might be on the homepage one Monday morning and you're like, oh, you know what? That event's done. So we're going to change the pattern. Instead of an important event, we're going to say, there's a national story that pertains to our work. So we'll just say in national news, and then we'll say, read this story. Yes. No. Gotta be more clear than that. About this news. Okay. Now notice up here that the update button is a little bit different. It's got this little dot next to it and there's ellipses after it. If I could click update here, it's saying, hey, you changed the pattern and your pattern is synced. Do you want to save that change? So I'm going to say yes. Now what I've done is I've changed the synced pattern, which means everywhere I use it, that's going to get updated too. So without touching page 3, I'm actually just going to the front end here and refreshing the page. What do I get? I get the update. So I only updated it in one place, but now that content got updated across the entire site. It started off as a regular pattern. Okay. Started off as a regular pattern. I dropped it on the page. I made it what I wanted to make it, and then I created a synced pattern with it. I can still go in here if I wanted to and use the original pattern, the one that comes with the theme. That was columns? No, yeah. No, it was grid. It's down here at the bottom. So the one that comes with the theme is still available. Notice it hasn't changed. It's the original pattern. Dropped it on the page, changed my content out. So if you need to create something that looks similar to this, you still have that pattern available. Those patterns that are built in the theme never change. What I did was use that pattern, customize it, and then saved it so that I could reuse it across different pages on my site. Now this pattern lives on my site only. I can make any change I want to it, and anywhere else I've used it, it gets updated automatically anytime I change it. So are there any questions about synced patterns?
Are patterns that you create available to everyone? So like if I was like, oh, I like how the big three is set up, let me go look for it so that I could copy it for my site. Can I?
You can, so patterns, they live on your site. So anyone who's working with you on your site will have access to them. They will be able to see them. But from site to site, no, they're not. They can't be shared like from site to site. They technically they can if you're an editor. Let me demonstrate that. Is that what you were thinking, Andrea? Is it?
Yeah, like for example, if I'm browsing your sample page here and I go, "Oh, I like how this is set up. Let me go ask Rob what this pattern is," and you tell me the big three. I go and search patterns for the big three and then use it on the DRC site?
No, you wouldn't,
No. Okay.
unfortunately. Yeah, a synced pattern is really just synced to the website that it was created on. And yeah, it doesn't end up, it would be, I would love it if this was a thing that could happen, that network sites could have shared pattern libraries. Um, at the moment, that's not possible. I couldn't say. WordPress folks would have to build that in. It's a kind of a big technical question. So right now, no, synced patterns basically live on the site that you're on.
Okay.
Jason, do you want to like write that down? That like somehow, if there's a way
Or
for
like
us to,
have the option, right? Like,
Yeah,
no,
sure.
this isn't a pattern I want to share, or yeah, this is a pattern that I think maybe others, or
Well,
I've been asked about this pattern, so then I can make it shareable or something like that. I think it would
Yeah.
just really help eliminate duplication of efforts, right? If you already did all the work, why do I have to
Right.
reinvent the wheel?
yeah, we
Yeah.
have talked about somehow trying to find ways to share patterns.
Rob,
And
go back into your My Patterns. Go back into the patterns real quick.
yeah,
So you got the My Patterns. That's the one that you.
that's the one I created.
Yeah. So in order to
So
share,
that's and that
well, it
they
wouldn't be good to share it as a synced pattern. However,
true, yeah. So not as a synced pattern, but there's a case to be made for like, if we were to customize a pattern on one side, because I think what could happen is like if you could copy this and paste it into a different site and it just became a static pattern that you could then customize and
Yeah,
create
okay.
into a pattern on your site. So it's always going to
Yeah.
be synced to your site, but if there was a way to then share it, and this is a good time to mention that while we can't share customized UCSC patterns, there is a WordPress pattern library available, wordpress.org/patterns, where you can copy patterns for use on your site. Now, there's a big caveat here is that these are styled. They're styled how they look here. So when you copy a pattern from this site, and there are quite a few, let's go with just do full width header with hero image. Gonna copy it. This button shows up, I click copied. And if I were to say, go into a brand new page, all I have to do is click into the editor and Command V. And because these are just built with standard WordPress blocks, they can be pasted. And so this can be another starting point. I mean, ideally, we would be able to do something like this. This is what I would love to be able to do. We've talked about it, but I'm not sure how straightforward it is to do. But this is a possibility. And this is definitely a place where you can start as well. If you want to scroll through here, you can find things. And then, you have to tweak them for your site and for our theme. But it can be a great starting point for that kind of stuff. But once you create a synced pattern, it's always going to be synced to your site and your site alone. Any other questions?
I would just like to echo the shared pattern thing. I mean, it sounds like you're already on board with it, but it's kind of like you go to somebody else's site and you see a pattern or something, a layout that looks really cool, and you think, oh, we could use that on our site. And then there's always like, well, how do I recreate that? And I can go look at the source code and I can copy it, but then if I paste it into mine, there's like sometimes there's the wrappers for the code are different and they don't always work right, and so it becomes a kind of problematic to do it that way.
Yeah, that's one challenge. That's why we have to figure out a way to do it like this, where you're copying it specifically for use in the editor. Because what shows up on the website is rendered, so it's different. It doesn't have all the code that the WordPress editor understands for making blocks and stuff. So when you copy stuff here, you're actually copying editor code that you can paste into the editor. And that's the trick of this, is finding a way to make patterns available that work properly when you paste them into the WordPress editor. And we haven't looked too far into that yet, but it might be possible. And then we'd be able to contribute. I mean, we're doing what we can right now, contributing patterns here. We're just also being really careful about what we contribute, because it may not be useful, or it may get cluttered. If there's a lot of things, then you kind of get lost and there's a paradox of choice. So we're being careful about what we add. But when we hear feedback from folks who are creating content, and they're saying, I did this thing and I had to repeat it a bunch of times, that's a good case for a pattern. Lisa Nielsen from my team is identifying those things too. So this will continue to grow, but it would also be nice, like you said, Mark and Andrea too, like to be able to go to a site and say, I like this, can I snag it? Right now, there's no way to do that, but hopefully there can be in the future. I wanted to also throw Jason in here and just say, did I miss anything, Jason? I'm trying to think of all the things about patterns that we do to help us build sites more quickly.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. Just to reiterate that what you said about Lisa and us and the kind of, I'm using air quotes here, the design team always looking for patterns that the campus could use that could be kind of universally. So though, with varying incremental updates of the website, more patterns should show up as we make them.
Yeah, one thing I didn't cover that we can cover really quickly is what happens when our patterns don't quite meet your need. I'm going to create a new page for this just so that it's nice and clear. Of course, when you're building a site, you can do everything that I did with content that you've created from scratch. So we'll just say, I'll just put, let's go with a cover block. Or no, yeah, we'll just do a cover block, keep it simple. Go into my media library and find something weird. Let's do this. I'll make this block a little bit taller. Actually, no, we'll make it shorter. And we'll set the focal point of the image. And then I'll just put some text in here. Your journey starts here. I won't make a rail and trail joke because it's a sensitive topic. What else can I put in here? This is great thing about the cover block is it's super handy because anything can go inside of it. So I'm gonna put let's put columns. Maybe what I'll do actually is let's just break this thing. No, I won't do that. We'll put columns. Put 3 columns, starting with this one, and just add a paragraph of lorem to this. That is a lot of text. We'll just go like this. Paste. that one, and then I've got another column here, so I'll do this too. Paste. We'll ignore that these are three of the same thing. I'm gonna change this to a heading because that makes sense. We'll make it an H2 because the page title is going to be the H1 and this is directly underneath it. Again, for spacing, just gonna do what I think needs to be done to add a little bit of space there. Font size is okay, but I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Let's go to nope, bigger than that. 4. Bigger than that. 6. Okay. Now, not to keep jumping on this point, but this is not very accessible, right? Because my background image, while it is dark, is probably not quite dark enough for contrast. So what I'm actually going to do is go back out here to the cover block. I'm going to select, I'm actually going to remove the image and we'll do something a little different. I'll do overlay. Go with a dark blue, and then I'm going to set the opacity to 100%. So even though I'm using a cover block, I've kind of mimicked something a little bit different. One more thing I can do here is we'll just add a little bit of padding all around the cover block. There we go. A nice big box, a lot of spacing here. This is great. Let's say this is more information that you want to share across your site. You built it from scratch. You can do the same exact thing. Take this cover block, select it, go down here, create pattern. Call this, what did we'll call this, naming things, hardest thing in programming. We'll just call it intro text for now. I did so well with the big 3 that I want to like match that, but my brain's slowing down. This is maybe we'll do this as a call to action. I don't have a call to action in here, but it kind of is. It's like, this is where here's what you should know in order to start your journey. I'm gonna make this a synced pattern too. I could make this a not synced pattern, and then it would behave as like static content. So I could drop it onto a page and edit it, and it wouldn't change anywhere else on the site. Just change in this one place where I've used it. It works like all the other patterns, basically. And once I make it synced, then it works like how we showed earlier. One thing I want to mention is that you can't change these, you can't unsync a pattern later on. So it does help to like decide up front whether you're going to reuse something and you want it to stay in sync with all of its peers or not. I'm going to leave it synced because I think that's helpful.
Wait, so you can sync an unsynced pattern, but you can't unsync a synced pattern. Is that correct?
It's way too early for me to answer that question properly.
But we could make a copy of it and have that one not synced, right? Like if we need to use the same one, but we don't, like that one needs to be standalone, so we just want it as a base. So I can make a
Yes.
copy of the synced one and then unsync it, right?
Yeah, that's detached pattern
Yeah.
is what that's for. So if you were to say, which kind of
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense then to by default just keep them synced, because you get the advantage of, if I use this on 10 pages, I only ever need to edit it one time. But if you say need to use it in a way that's not synced, you can always just detach it, and that detaches it from its synced peers. So
Oh,
there's, yeah. So now I've got this pattern and I created this from scratch. If I go in here to patterns, under my patterns, there it is. And this pattern, you know, it didn't come from anything that was built into the theme. You made it from scratch and now you've got it available to you. I think I also put it in the call to action category. So when you categorize things, that's going to help you find them later. It might not have been the best category for this one, but certainly you can take advantage of categorizing your synced patterns. You always have them available here under My Patterns, but then they are in categories as well. So you can create patterns from stuff we've already done by using an existing pattern. You can create patterns from content that you generate yourself. Hopefully the process of how I built and tweaked some of these patterns helps. This is pretty much what happens when Jason or me, we get asked to build a site. We're kind of in there doing little design tweaks and other things while we're building, mostly around clarity. Like clarity is paramount. We want people to come to our sites and just understand where they are, why they're there, what this site can offer them, and how they can, move through that site comfortably. So having synced patterns helps for repeating content. Using patterns gets you started building more quickly because you don't have to like start with a blank columns block and tweak and stuff. We talked about hopefully someday us being able to provide you with a robust pattern library where you can go to sites. That's not available yet. It would be great if it is, but I couldn't say when something like that would happen. Are there any other questions?
Rob, did I see in the menu options correctly? Was there an option to resync it if I detach?
Let's find out. Let's see. I'm just going to go in here and I'll detach this. And then I don't think so. It doesn't have a name. I'm going to go under.
I think it just
selected.
converts it back to the group of blocks
Yeah.
you originally used, and then you can create a new pattern from it.
Yeah, I could create a new pattern, but basically I've removed it from it's now just a collection of blocks again. It's back to its original form.
Okay, so I would have to delete and then insert the pattern and basically start over if I
Yeah, if you
changed my
detach it.
mind or accidentally detached it.
Well, if you
Okay.
got this far, like, okay, I don't want that. I'm going to detach this pattern. You've still got your group of blocks in front of you that you could,
Right.
Yeah,
monkey
make it to a
with
new pattern.
and
And
create
detaching a
yeah.
pattern does not delete it from your library. So yeah, you still have it in the library. Just this group of blocks on this particular page is detached from its synced peers. It's kicked out of the nest, basically.
Got it.
All right.
This topic of shortcuts, tips, and tools for building sites, or at least trying to move through building sites more quickly, we plan to keep sharing as the ideas come up. If you have particular things that you're struggling with while building a site, or after you build a site, you're thinking about longer term maintenance, please let us know, and we can make those questions into future topics. We have some topics in mind coming up, but this was kind of the first of like, hey, how can we share some of our knowledge and what we do as we build the theme and other sites with everyone. So hopefully it was helpful.
Thank you, Rob. I'm going to chip in one more piece here too to kind of build on. You really talked about the differences between like local patterns versus global ones that one might look at. A resource that I wanted to share with everyone is, of course, websites. I talk about websites a lot, but the things that we've been talking about here today are grouped in this little category where we're talking about blocks, patterns, and layouts. And this isn't quite as smart as that library that Rob was showing of all the different patterns that you might have, but we do have examples of the available global patterns that one might use on your site that does just these things. And we try to explain some things like what are use cases where you might use these things. And you can kind of see them with some basic text built in there so you can start getting feelings of how you could apply some of these patterns to your website. So one more time, again, it's just websites, and you can check out. It's one of the primary things we'd like you to use is the designs and layouts options about how to see those things. And maybe we'll leave it right there. I will stop recording at this moment.